Hi everyone, welcome to episode 26 of TechBytes by Technext. On TechBytes, as you know, we bring you closer to the world of tech in Nigeria, Africa, and the world. News headlines, and we usually have a conversation at the end. The conversation usually focuses on trending topics or tech news. Our conversation today definitely going to be election, at least until after the elections.
Election is the man of the hour.
We have to continue. I'm Omole, and with me,
Damn Larry.
that voice. So Dami, echo elections you.
That's how we saw it.
How do you feel about the just concluded elections? Presidential and National Assembly.
I'm just glad it's over now. We can rest from the old drama.
Is it over? Is that the word?
Oh
over?
well, officially it's over.
Okay,
But
officially.
yeah,
At least yeah.
some people want to take it up in the court and all of that, but I mean the major part of the drama is over, so we can get back to our lives now.
Okay, in case you don't know, INEC has officially announced Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of the presidential election. So Bola Ahmed Tinubu until or unless something else happens, he is the president-elect until Buhari hands over to him. Anyway, as we said, our focus will be on the elections coming up next week, the ones that just concluded, and next week. It will be an open mic, so we'll have two of our experienced journalists, very experienced, spread across several years. But you have to stay tuned to actually see these people, or get the juice out of that. If this is your first time, you can binge listen. I usually say this is episode 26, so you can binge listen to 1 to 25. Trust me, you won't regret it. Have you done me?
Nah, of course not. Really is exciting.
So the other episodes still are relevant, notwithstanding, even though they were done last year or 6 months ago, they stay relevant. So for everyone, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, do everything that you can possibly do to engage with the podcast. Yeah, so Dami, take us around the world of tech in 10 minutes.
All right, first on the list, it's been confirmed now that Nigerians, we are suffering and smiling. Don't worry.
It has been confirmed
So
since.
So-
Fela confirmed it.
Yeah, okay.
And that's in 90s.
Okay, this one is different. So Surfshark, an American or an Amsterdam cybersecurity firm, has confirmed that Nigeria overpay for internet service than the value we get.
True. I know that for sure.
How did you know?
I pay so much, and I don't get the value.
Okay.
I don't get exactly the value.
Okay, even though. So Nigeria ranks 109th out of 117 countries in the world. That's like 0.0017. That's the index we are on, and it is 44 times lower than global average.
Jesus Christ.
So we are a long way behind, right?
I mean, we are still doing 1 MB, 2 MB per second download. Like, what's that?
Yeah, and we pay a whole lot. And then so in Africa, no, not Africa in total, like regional, we rank 16th. 16th, right? And this is like 56% lower than Africa's average. So we are trailing in Africa, we are trailing globally.
If you're doing Africa, of course, globally. Because Africa is trailing the world, the rest of the world.
Yeah, then in sub-Saharan Africa again, we are ranked 12th.
You can just imagine.
So we're not even top 10 in anything.
Like,
at all.
The giant of Africa, indeed.
Then we have South Africa. South Africa is the first on the continent. It's ranked 70th in the globe. Ghana is 105th. Then you have some other countries on the list as well. But comparing the internet value in Africa, it means that just 4 out of 10 people get value for what they buy in Nigeria. In Africa in total, actually.
That sounds like an over-exaggerated number. I think it's like 0.02 people.
No, Africa now.
I know. I know.
Yeah, so despite the fact that South Africa is the leading one in Africa, in the continent, North Africa still has the best performance in terms of internet to value comparison. So wherever the northern African guys
I think of late, North Africa has been in the news for the best reasons.
Yeah.
In tech, they're the ones, raising the money.
They are raising lots of funds these days.
Like they're getting bigger and bigger. They're just in the news for the best reasons. But you see the rest of Africa.
Oh well, we're giants. All right, moving on. Meta is experimenting with AI chatbots and on WhatsApp,
of course,
and Instagram. This is like the new thing. Everybody is doing chatbots.
We've left metaverse.
Exactly. People have left metaverse, blockchain. Now it's chatbots and AI. ChatGPT came around. Bing came around. Google also came. Now
Apprentice bad. We call it bad later.
Which went bad.
It's in testing stage.
And now Meta is also doing something with chatbots for WhatsApp and Instagram. So majorly its focus is going to be businesses. So businesses can set this chatbot to be able to respond to customers and all of that. So maybe something like you have on Telegram ish. Yeah, so you can set like your chatbot to be able to respond. Is that
like auto response?
Yeah, something like that. What will be more conversational and advanced compared to like answer and response. So that's what it's going to be. It's experimenting it currently, all right, and the team will do lots of work to ensure that it is futuristic enough for users and share the best of experience.
But this for those who use Instagram and WhatsApp anyway.
Okay. Everybody uses WhatsApp. Don't mind, this guy is weird. Now coming back to the continent, Jumia will now be held responsible for faulty products that are on its platform.
Amen.
Why are you saying amen?
Amen.
So according to a ruling by COMESA, this is Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, e-commerce company Jumia will now be held responsible for any disputes on its platform. So previously, Jumia is an aggregating site, right? Yeah. There are third-party sellers who sell on Jumia. And it's part of the terms and conditions that whatever happens, we know you get that kind of vibe. But now COMESA has made a ruling that Jumia would be liable for
Amen. Because you can't be that big, and you can't check products or check sellers on your platform. We need to know that.
Well, implementation remains the bulk of it. So Jumia started being investigated in 2021. Yeah, September 2021. That's like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, and since then they've been investigating. Now they've made a ruling that the company would be able to.
I just feel like the investigation was inspired by lots of complaints.
Yeah, 2021 was coming up. 2020, the COVID-19.
Yeah. A lot of people were using e-commerce platforms.
Exactly.
So the complaints became so much. So COMESA could not. What's happening here?
So now Jumia must clearly indicate where the primary seller and where it is a third party aggregator.
Address, contact,
so you must provide that. Must also provide a sale agreement for buyers to review before buying the goods. They must also ensure that the customers have rights to sue Jumia when the contact of the third party seller cannot be reached.
Wait, you said something before.
Yeah.
That before the customer has something about Jumia sale agreement. Yes. I just feel like in that sales agreement, Jumia is going to put there that we are not liable for any bad product.
Oh well.
Because that's what they usually put in terms and conditions anyway. And people are not going to read it. It's until when they get the bad product before they now realize that you actually signed it.
But now they said that customers would reserve a right to actually sue Jumia
for the seller's information.
Yeah, if it's not, and they can't reach the third party, they can actually sue Jumia now.
Okay.
So that's also one of the rulings. So it is Jumia's duty to ensure that the seller and the buyer must meet each other and sort themselves out.
GG.
Yeah, maybe not meet physically, but something like that. All right, going on back to Africa again. Okay, 8.7% of African users experienced phishing attacks in 2022. So if you're not conversant with phishing attack is a mode of fraud like scamming and all of that on the internet. And 8.7% of African users, both corporate and individual, experienced at least one phishing attack in 2022. This was made known by Kaspersky, All right, and it says that in 2022, internet fraud and all of that increased by 24%.
So you think 8.7% is a small number? It's actually high.
It's
Actually
millions.
very high. I think it's in
Yeah,
tens or
hundreds
hundreds of
yeah.
millions.
It's a whole lot.
So 8.7%, ladies and gentlemen,
That's
is
a
not a
lot.
small number.
You guys should keep safe out there. And according to the reports, scam activity was very high in countries like Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, and Egypt.
Nigeria.
And in South Africa, the share of users affected was 9.7. Kenya was 8.4. Nigeria was 7%. And
that's a lot.
That's a whole lot. If you guys must know, please keep safe on the internet. Ensure that your data and everything is safe. If you want to know how to keep safe, listen to one of our past episodes where we talked to Rokadote, cybersecurity expert on privacy and all of that. You should check.
See why we say you should binge listen.
Yeah, you definitely have to. All right, last one for today. Twitter rolls out updated zero tolerance policy on violent speech. Amen. So it's been back and forth for a long time. All social media platforms, what is violent speech? Where do you draw the line and all of that? But Twitter has now come on to unveil a new policy that is zero tolerance. It's giving autocratic.
It just brings back the conversation about content moderation. I think Elon Musk sacked almost, about 90. Almost the members of the whole team for content moderation. So people were like, okay, this guy doesn't want to moderate content. Just wants everybody, okay, free speech. This is the idea of free speech, where everybody can say what they like, and when they like.
And it's interesting because Elon Musk has always been big on free speech, but as free as he wants you to speak, he also doesn't want you to be violent.
Zero tolerance, guys.
So any tweet that encourages war crimes, genocide, crimes against humanity, as well as disguised content, content that is not openly negative but a few people can understand, it has zero tolerance. So it would kick out the tweets and most likely kick out the person as well. All right, so users would also be able to express hopes that others may suffer death, illness, tragic incidents, or physically harmful consequences. So all of those tweets where people threaten others would not be accepted on Twitter anymore. So if you do this, which you shouldn't if you listen to TechBytes, but if you do this, please don't do it anymore. Repent. All right, that brings us to the end of Around the World of Tech.
Thank you, Dami. Thank you so much. I'm sure you heard all of that. Now we're going to the conversation of the day. Are you excited? So yes, it's an open mic, as we said, and it's about BVAS, IREV, and the election. Mostly on IREV, electronic transmission of the results. And when we talk about that, the first word we're going to use is disillusionment. That's our first word, because a lot of people were excited when the Electoral Act was passed, Electoral Act 2022 as amended, as they usually say. IREV, there were provisions for BVAS, there were provisions for IREV, electronic transmission. But on Saturday, the last Saturday, February 25th, when the presidential election and National Assembly elections were held, people came out of it with shock.
He shocked you.
Shocked. They were shocked at what? So events from Saturday bet two sides. Considering what happened with IREV and the announcement of the results, the pro INEC camp and the anti Yakubu Mahmoud camp. Of course, this is from the widespread belief that
really pro INEC.
Yeah, they're pro-INEC people. If you use Twitter a lot, you see that people.
Yeah, actually, I saw some people that even did a protest supporting.
Exactly, and you may not even really. You might say they're APC guys, but you can't be so sure. Okay. Well, the two camps were birthed from a widespread belief that IREV was not used as expected, and yet the manual collation and announcement went on as usual. In case you are lost on the topic, IREV is the INEC results viewing portal. It's a web portal dedicated to the public to view polling unit results, that's the grassroots, as soon as they are finished on election day. A civil society organization like Yaga says INEC disregarded its regulations and guidelines by delaying the upload of the presidential and national assembly elections.
Wow.
I read as a quote from them. Undoubtedly, the delay in uploading the polling unit level results cast doubt on the credibility of the results management process, resulting in broken public trust in electoral technology. That's how Yaga said it.
English.
And that is where
just to say that you guys fucked up.
and that is where our conversation begins. And we have two people. We have Dennis Daala Mirila and Tomiwo Ojo, who are experienced journalists with Technext. They work with Technext. Don't worry, they're going to give you all the juice that are going to. So stay with us. So let's get into it. Hello, Dennis. Hello, Tomiwo.
Hi, Omole. Hi, Danny. It's good to be here.
Aye.
Welcome to TechBytes. Of course, you're
You're
one of us, but still, welcome. Hi, Dennis. Is Dennis with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hi. How are you doing?
Okay, yeah. So the first question goes to two of you. I would like two of you to actually respond to this. From your own understanding of IREV, the IREV debacle and the Nigerian elections, I'm sure this is not your first election.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say went wrong last Saturday? Starting with Dennis.
Okay, cool. I mean, I felt like Nigerians had it coming. There were many Nigerians who felt like the IREF portal and BVAS were going to malfunction, but they didn't think the kind of malfunction that was going to happen will be at this scale, will be on this level. I think that there are just like simple things that INEC could have gotten right in terms of making sure, actually testing to make sure that the internet coverage that they had on the machine were going to work, making sure that the portal itself was working. There were many people who had issues even registering for the IRF portal to be able to view the results in real time. So I just felt like INEC did not bring their A game out at all. It almost seemed as if they had a very limited amount of time to prepare. I think the budget for the election was like 7 trillion. I'm not quite sure now, but it was really abysmal the way INEC conducted it. It looked like they said like a week ago when they in fact had 4 years to prepare. So yeah.
Okay,
maybe
since we lost.
Yeah, the IREV was nonsense.
That was what you're talking about. Yeah, we pay so much for internet and we're not even getting the value.
I couldn't even create an account. It took me a long while to create an account.
Mine was easy. I don't know. So when I started seeing tweets about registration, people feeling inability for people to register, I'm like, okay, yeah.
I could barely create an account. And when I eventually created an account and I logged in, and I'm only seeing 200 and something polling units as at 10 p.m.
No, so I mean, I left the tab open. Mainly before the election, I left that tab open. That I'm going to monitor this thing to the very end. But after, from around 11 p.m. on Saturday, I just left that. Tab.
Everyone just moved to another
what
site.
What are you doing?
All right. Since Tomiwa is not around, Dennis, would you take this question?
I'm right
so.
there.
Oh, okay. So it's right here. So did you get the question?
Yes, I got it, and I was waiting for Dennis to finish speaking before I give my own thoughts. So for the whole IREV and BVAS thing, it was exactly the case of what I ordered versus what I got. Nigerians had very high expectations for the BVAS and IREV thing, and
everyone just thought that it would be like BB Naija poll, where you would be seeing the number of votes coming in and everyone could do their own calculations by themselves. But INEC could have done better, especially with the way they trained their polling agents.
Yeah,
Because
true.
at some of the polling that I went to observe, I realized that some of the agents could not actually operate the BVAS machine. Like one guy had to move to another polling unit to ask the polling officer there how to actually operate the machine. And on Twitter, on social media generally, you could see pictures of polling agents that uploaded their selfies instead of the results and all those kind of things. This particular scenario
We're not
didn't
supposed to be
especially
laughing, right?
inspire confidence
Okay.
in INEC. Plus, some months before the election, after they announced that they were going to use IREV and BVAS, Rufai Osini went on Arise TV and he said that I hope that when it's election day, we'll not start hearing issues of the server is down, technicalities have come up, and for one reason or the other, these things cannot happen. So with every technological innovation, the execution is more important than the idea. And I feel like INEC did not actually put all their efforts into ensuring that the execution was perfect. And because of that, that's caused a lot of drama, a lot of anger, a lot of pain for Nigerians who feel like elections are not credible, which is what IREV was supposed to actually, the problem that IREV was supposed to solve.
Transparency.
So INEC could have done better.
Yeah. So yeah, for the signing up thing, that's why we did. So we did an explanatory series on load testing.
Yeah.
So to understand what may have happened with the IREV, you can check out Technext on YouTube and understand what load testing is.
You can check.
I think that what really happened. So they tested it with states, but they did not
test it for a nationwide coverage.
So that's why
millions of people wanted to.
They wanted to. Of course, people wanted to. This has to be free and fair. They were waiting for the first election that transparency will actually be a
that
thing.
Promised transparency.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
all right.
But I sort of felt, if I may just interject a bit, I sort of felt like INEC could have still at least allowed the people that managed to register to be able to view the portal and still allow like new people to register. Because when I was trying, by the time I got to understand the whole IREF thing, and I was trying to register early Sunday, late Saturday, you could not even register because INEC had shut down registration. And so you're saying that there's like too many people on the server, there are too many people on the website, but at least you should have allowed the people who could register than just shutting it down for like every new person who wanted to register. That was a very suspicious, part thing to have done on INEC's part, in my opinion.
Suspicious indeed.
All right, tell me what this is for you. So the Electoral Act, as amended in 2022, gives legal backing for the electronic transmission of results, but the INEC chairman has the power to determine how.
Is it the chairman or INEC itself?
Okay, INEC itself, but INEC itself has the power to determine how the results would eventually be transmitted. So there are options, but the INEC has to pick one.
Yeah.
And when we go further, all right, it says section 64.4-5 says the collating officers and the returning officers are to use the number of accredited voters and votes recorded and transmitted directly from the polling units to the collation center to collate and announce results. So this was not done.
Of course not.
Right. We can all agree it wasn't done. But so do you think the announcement of the APC presidential candidates as a president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, goes contrary to these acts and these tests that have been done?
Okay, so listening to what you just read and considering the statements that the INEC chairman made when these allegations or when these accusations were made against him, I think the exact word that you used was the accredited votes and votes recorded, transmitted. right? It does not necessarily say electronically transmitted using IRF, because the INEC chairman was explaining that due to the technicalities that do not make IRF work properly, they still got the votes recorded via paper. Like, this was why the recording officer and the collation officers had to either go to their state collation center or talk to the collation center in Abuja, and that it is INEC's prerogative sort of to determine how they would announce the results, because according to the INEC officials, the votes recorded on IRF and the votes actually recorded on paper, that equals the same thing, like it's the same thing, and I don't think it nullifies the announcement of the president-elect.
Experience tests. Okay, let's move. I think.
Dennis, you want to take that? Like, do you think it fails the transparency test?
Going on to announce the result.
Going on to announce the result without it being on IREV, despite the chairman saying all results to be on IREV.
And he kept
saying it over and over and over.
Obviously, he did not. Many international organizations independent observers that came to watch the election have all said that this election is neither fair nor fair. They've all said that, just the mere fact that not all the results were even transmitted on the portal already underscores just the problems that went on, like, with these elections already. Coupled with the fact that in some places people did not even vote at all because of violence and other activities that happened. So, of course not. INEC chairman failed woefully based on the evidence that we have to create an election that was transparent to the majority of Nigerians.
So I listened to the at the National Collation Center, the announcement of results from the beginning to the end. I was there. if NEPA decides to do their own, I'll continue on my lab on YouTube Live. And I was hearing cancelled votes. They were in tens of thousands. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? So if you gather all these votes together, possibly up to 1 million, if not close to 2 million. So I'm wondering, with all the money that INEC collected, billions of naira, what happened to it? But that's not our next question anyway. Okay. We are still going on.
Sorry. I want to ask Dennis a question based on the last thing he said. Are you saying that INEC should not have announced the results of the election because all the votes are not being uploaded on IREV? Because as at this morning, so than 40,000 out of the 176,000 polling units have now been updated. But according to INEC, since they already had the result on paper and they didn't want to continue to delay the announcement of the winner of the elections, that was why they concluded it as soon as they could on paper. Are you saying they shouldn't have announced until all Nigerians could have accessed it on IREV?
What I'm saying is the election was just not transparent. The election was just not transparent, honestly. And you say that uploaded, but then when you even check those votes that have been updated, you are going to see TPEX. There's TPEX on it. There's one where they've gummed a new result on top of the result that was there before. Mm-hmm. There are all of those things that have even been uploaded. When you check for Surulere, you might see Kano result that was uploaded there. That's an instance. People have said that is what they've seen. So honestly, there just is no transparency. I felt there's just no transparency. I felt like if INEC was really looking to create a free and fair election, then you shouldn't have just called and said, this is the person who won, and then very quickly you give the person the certificates. At least you should have still taken a bit more time to investigate some of the claims that have been raised.
Okay, so Dennis, I'll come to that thing, that last thing you said. But to Tomiwo, I just feel like IREV was like a transparency test. It was okay. They are calling the results in Abuja or at ward and local government and state level, and people are seeing, they are comparing. They are seeing it on IREV and they're hearing numbers. So it's 6,000 for social party. They are hearing 56,000 and they're not hearing 42,000. It was like just a transparency test. Were they going to do this? That was many people asked, but a lot of people believed that they were going to do it. So it actually failed the test. It's not a case of whether INEC should have. I don't think it's a case of whether INEC should have continued. It was just a transparency test. Can we be part of the process from the beginning to the end? Calling up the numbers. We are seeing what's happening on IREV, and we are seeing what's happening, and that did not happen. So that's the argument of many people. That's the argument of many people. Now let's go to the next one. So out of 176,000, over 176, we still have about 156
uploaded.
After INEC promised us that as elections have are concluded, in every polling unit, they will be uploaded. As you said, we are seeing pictures. This Mr. Macaroni said he stayed until the results were uploaded, and he checked, I think, the following day, and it disappeared. So we are left with about 12,000 yet uploaded. We don't know whether they will still be uploaded. But in a statement, the INEC Commissioner on Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, said the problem is totally due to technical glitches related to scaling up of the IREV from a platform for managing off-season state elections to one for managing of nationwide general elections. Is this an indication? I'm throwing this question to two of you now. Is this an indication that INEC is not ready to use IREV for general elections? Then it's going to start.
Honestly, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what INEC's plans are. All I know is that by law, INEC is supposed to upload the results on this digital platform. Whether or not INEC is ready, that's entirely up to INEC. INEC just doesn't seem like it recognizes that it's part of the digital world. Does, generally speaking. And I think that is where the problem is. It has gotten so used to the analog system. It has gotten so used to a corrupt system. And now that we are living in a digital world, INEC finds itself struggling to catch up. But it has refused, it seems, to let go of the baggage of the analog system for a more digitalized existence in Nigeria. And that's something that INEC is going to answer, and INEC is going to solve itself, in my opinion.
Well, in my own opinion, INEC is not ready because I feel like as much as they had technicality issues and all, there are already similar systems across the world that can allow plenty of people to be on the website at the same time, either viewing results or uploading results and things like that. I mean, other countries like the US have similar systems in place, and INEC could have either paid the right money or employed the right people to oversee these things, because on paper, when they were bringing out the suggestions of IREV and BVAS and what these things were supposed to achieve, it sounded very good. In fact, for the Nigerian system, it sounded a little bit too good to be true. And a lot of Nigerians, maybe myself included, had very low expectations of it and did not disappoint us with expecting a little. But I feel like this is a step in the right direction, even if the execution was poor. I like to think that INEC must have learned from the mistakes of this election, and that going forward, they would apply those lessons and ensure that things are more transparent and more effective in the future.
INEC have learned. We hope so.
We hope. We hope. So beyond the IREV platform itself, or the portal itself, that had lots of technical issues, lots of people on it, and it wasn't able to maintain the load and all of that. There were also lots of human error involved. People intervened at different points before the results get to IREV portal, and during that election voting period to the IREV portal, lots of things went wrong from people. I mean, like you said, that didn't even understand the BVAS to verify or accredit voters, to upload and all of that. They didn't understand. That was like a first issue. Then you talk about poor internet connection. There were lots of complaints about server error, internet network issues, and lots of people had to upload offline, right? Like lots of people had to say their polling units, presiding officer uploaded offline and all of that. So it probably was an internet issue, maybe it was a server issue, but there was that as well. Then there was the old pressure. You could see from videos and pictures online, there were so many PUs that people were shouting on the POs and everything, like, guys, what's up? So maybe the pressure, the anxiety of all of that was there, and maybe that was like somebody would make a mistake to take a selfie to upload on iRev instead of the results itself. So all of these were some of the issues beyond the iRev portal. So since this is known now, do you think INEC should invest in removing some of these human intervention along the way to make it fully digital, so that we have a seamless movement of results from the thumbprint to the online portals? Or do you think it has to do with maybe like trainings and all of that?
Extensive trainings.
So for this election, I would like to know the kind of training that the INEC officials, the guys that were actually operational at the polling unit, I like to know the kind of training that they got, because I'm just speculating here. I like to think that the old cash scarcity, the old economic problems that Nigeria already faced might have inhibited INEC in some ways ahead of this election. But if they cannot get iRev right now, I'm not very confident in their ability to go
Beyond this.
Beyond iRev.
digital, like remove every human intervention exactly beyond iRev. So eventually that is the future. That is where we hope to get to. I know that I think one African country has already done a digital election, and some countries like Australia, Canada, they've done that. But even all across the world, a lot of other countries are still very skeptical about going fully digital for elections. And in a country like Nigeria, where from 1999 or maybe even 100 years ago, when we had our first election, we've always had a problem with the credibility of it. So by the time it goes completely digital, how would you convince the uneducated person in a village in Nigeria to fully trust a system that they don't completely understand? So there's still a lot of work to be done. I can only hope that INEC and Nigeria as a whole, we've learned from this experience. But of course, going fully digital would be best, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Continue on that point. Do you think that blockchain technology would have been a perfect alternative? Would have prevented
all of these issues, especially in terms of transparency?
Yeah.
Well, on paper, yes. I mean, a lot of blockchain enthusiasts have projected or said that we should consider running our elections in the blockchain system. But according to one of the articles that Technext published this week, we interviewed Lucky, and he said that it's not even a matter of using the process, it's a matter of following the electoral process. Like you guys said, and then he said, like, INEC itself not stay true to their word of uploading the result as soon as voting was concluded. So the major problem is getting the electoral process right. So while I'm sure that blockchain experts can tell us how exactly the mechanics of using the system to vote would work, and again, so far on paper it has sounded very good, but if you still have these little fundamental problems of vote buying, using violence to put pressure on voters, on POs, or any other INEC official, so at the end of the day, we might just invest a lot of money in using blockchain technology, but then we still will not get the results that we want. And even then, we still have that problem of communicating to the uneducated people that are not even... There are a lot of educated people that don't even understand blockchain technology properly, like anything blockchain, crypto. A lot of digitally savvy people are still skeptical about it. Then how do you now communicate that to a villager that cannot even write the letter or the bottom of a bottle? So a lot of work still needs to be done. Hopefully in the future, and I'm still thinking maybe 2050, 100 years, if we continue to go at this pace, maybe we'll get there, but it just feels like we need to get the basics of democracy right in terms of conducting a proper election. We need to get that right first before we can now talk about using technology to enhance the process.
Nice. Okay, this next question goes to you, Dennis. So IREV has come. It's not going anywhere, at least not for the foreseeable future. It will still be used for the gubernatorial and House of Assembly, State House of Assembly elections next week, March 11. IREV is not going anywhere.
No, it's not.
INEC is still going to INEC is still going to use IREV, as a portal to upload results and all of that. We can see the issues with that from these presidential elections. We can say yes, possibly the state nationwide thing caused the whole technical and what have you issues. But you're talking about 28 states or thereabout who would also be doing gubernatorial elections. That's still a whole lot of number. What do you think people should do, right? What do you think citizens can do to ensure election integrity, to ensure that their votes count? Because many people have been saying that their votes did not count from this presidential election. So what do you think Nigerians can do, since it's been stated that INEC is a problem itself and they are not ready to resolve it? What do you think Nigerians can do to ensure that despite IREV, their elections and their votes will still count?
I think INEC has done it. All the Nigerians can do is, continue to observe the election, continue to take pictures, take videos, make sure they snap the result of the election in their own polling units. INEC has done its worst, and I say that because there's a huge part of Nigeria that have been disenfranchised already. We had, based on INEC, 90-something million registered voters, but under 25 million people voted during the presidential election. What that shows is obvious. There's a huge level of disenfranchisement that must have occurred. I myself went to INEC office and I was denied my PVC, even though I have registered. I'm one of the 90-something million registered voters. My name was on my polling unit and things like that. I could not vote because INEC refused to give me my voter's card. And you can imagine the many Nigerians that also experience very similar issues. The ones who did not even have the time to go and collect their PVC, INEC did not do any deliveries. So I think INEC has disenfranchised people already. What people can do is make sure they go there, make sure their vote counts for those that can vote, make sure they snap and they record things that are happening, and they just participate in the electoral process however they can.
So tell me, continue from what Dennis said. We know that a lot of people are now, we are not doing, it's obvious that INEC, people are saying that it's obvious that INEC doesn't want to do free and fair elections. But we still have the state election, which is quite important. We need to elect our governors and state assembly, because that's where we are. We are not on the federal level. We are in one state at a time. Continue from what Dennis said, the same question. What do you think people should do to ensure that election integrity is not sacrificed because people don't trust INEC?
So I agree with Dennis. So I believe that this time around, come March 11, everybody should get to their polling units early. Of course, social media is such a very powerful tool now, so you can start talking about how INEC officials have not arrived at 10 a.m. or at 11 a.m. or how INEC officials are ready to leave by 5 p.m. or how even if you take a picture of the result from your polling unit and then if they cannot upload it, all those problems, you can actually put it out there and let the observers know, let everybody know about what is actually going on in your own country. Because INEC and the president-elect has said that anybody that is actually unhappy with the election result or the electoral process can go to court and submit evidence. And I know that most of the evidence that these unhappy people will be bringing up would be news and information that they got from social media. Yes, it might be a very, very long process, but I believe that it is the people, it is the power of the people that actually uphold the integrity of these elections. So all of us should just ensure that because we know what we are supposed to do in terms of, we also know what to expect from the INEC officials. And I think that we can continue to just checkmate them at every step of the way and call them out and encourage them, hopefully not harass anybody, but just encourage them and ensure that these things are done properly.
Great.
So we keep talking about the courts, and there's supposed to be a review period after the announcement. We don't know if that's even happening. And
I mean,
the INEC chairman
certificate of
promised
return has
that
been given
after the announcement that he would, he'll be open to listen to people during that review period. But since everybody's talking about the courts, it seems that review period is not going to happen. So we're going to wait until the court before we know what's really happening. All right.
And this could be months. It could be a year.
It could be months. 3 years. We'll be in Anambra.
Right.
Anyway, thank you, Dennis and Tommy Wu, for talking to us about IREV and the elections. If you missed this, you can just go to the beginning and listen to it again. So Dennis, just tell us so that this conversation continues on social media. Tell us your Twitter handle or whichever social media platform you use every time.
Yeah, you can tweet at me at that. You can tweet at me at that Dennis, DALADNNIS on Twitter.
Okay, thank you. Tommy
7 Omiwo, Tommy Wo, but a 7 instead of a T.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is Hackdown07.
What is that voice? Hackdown, please.
My voice.
What is in 7? Tommy was 7, Hackdown 7.
Oh,
7 is the perfect number.
I don't have 7 in my own. My own is Lord Ricky. Lord _ Ricky RICKIE. Thank you to everyone again do you have something else to say, Dan?
Nah, I'm good. Just follow.
For listening, and to Dennis again and Tommy Wu for joining us. The conversation continues, especially as the election, there's another election coming up next week, 11th of March 2023 is this year.
Yeah.
It's not next year. That's when we elect our governors and state assembly members. Okay. I thought I heard something.
Yeah, I did too.
All right. Till we meet again next week. Bye.
Take care, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.